Just ahead, there's another edition of the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's Talk and Entertainment Networks. I'm Reagan Smith, Public Affairs Director of the Florida News Network.
And I'm Executive Producer Michael Yaffee.
Michael, a pleasure to be with you today. We're going to be joined later on in the hour by the author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Catholicism. He is a Yale graduate. He also was the press secretary to former Louisiana Governor Mike Foster, a reporter and editor at Success Magazine, Investors Business Daily, and many other publications. He's got lots to say on lots of topics, and in particular, immigration. Well, we invite you to pull up a chair, put an ear on the radio. The Florida Roundtable begins following these messages.
Hi, Darcy the Cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Most good gardeners know how to get great results. Sun, water, and fertilizer, along with the right soil. Cow manure is the best way to condition the soil. Black Cow is all natural, and it's the best fertilizer, with 10 times more manure and 10 times more nutrients than the other guys. Pick up the bright yellow bag today.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
An opioid overdose does not need to end in tragedy. At-home rescue treatments like naloxone products can help you save the life of a friend or a loved one. Naloxone is available without a prescription and doesn't need to be administered by a health professional. Learn to recognize the signs of an overdose, like unresponsiveness, snoring sounds, and shallow breathing, and be prepared for an emergency by keeping a naloxone product on hand. Find out more at isavefl.com. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Children and Families.
Want to fly somewhere? Looking for cheap flights or cheap tickets? Then call. That's right. Call the low-cost airline travel hotline now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. Low-cost airlines has all kinds of cheap travel deals. Fly domestically and save up to 75%. You can even fly internationally and save even more. Yes, fly anywhere in the world and save a lot of money on your plane tickets. We'll even save you money with cheap travel deals on hotels, rental cars, even complete travel packages. So don't book your tickets until you call us first for the absolute cheapest prices on U.S. and international airline tickets and hotels. Call right now for prices so low they can't be published. Travel experts are here 24/7 to help. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. 800-754-4531. That's 800-754-4531.
This is the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's Talk and Entertainment Networks. I'm Reagan Smith, Public Affairs Director of the Florida News Network.
And I'm Executive Producer Michael Yaffee.
Michael, a pleasure to be with you again this week. And a couple of odds and ends here that I want to talk about before we get into the serious matter that's going to come along a little bit later in this hour. But a gentleman who has become a good friend of this program and we've known for years. I don't know. I've lost track, but he is Florida's own Brad Meltzer, who resides down the West Palm Beach area. We had him on. He has a brand new book. Well, it's not brand new now, but it's The First Conspiracy, and it's the story of the plot to assassinate George Washington. And I'm delighted to report that it is now on the New York Times bestseller list for nonfiction.
And it deserves to be there because it really is a great book. I couldn't put it down. You couldn't put it down. And he's also a great guy. We've interviewed him a few times, as you said, and we interviewed him on that book. And it's just really great.
Yeah. So we wish him well, and I hope that it stays on the Times bestseller list for a long time to come, which, of course, gives publishers the incentive to encourage Brad to write another one, and see what they can do with it. But he's matter of fact, he's got a couple of new things coming out that are in his series, I Am Abraham Lincoln, I Am George Washington. He's got a couple of more of those coming out later this year, designed specifically to educate young people to the heroes of the country, which I think is also very important because too many times now our public school system is a little bit slack on that.
I think it's vital, honestly, for the future of this country. I really do.
Well, kudos to Brad Meltzer,
Yeah.
who made that New York Times list, and we hope that it goes on for a while. I had one other item here that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and how can you live today without computers, right? I know a few people that won't allow one into their home, but you just about have to have something, whether it's a desktop or on your smartphone or whatever. You have to have these things. But consider this. We now have a list of the worst passwords of the year from 2018. And, how many passwords do you... I couldn't even tell you how many different passwords I have.
And then I forget them, and then you have to reset them, and the whole process.
And so what happens out of that is that many people tend to do things that are simplistic and easy to remember.
Yep.
And what comes out of that, password and the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, the most commonly used password. This is an annual ranking by a software company called Splash Data. Splash Data. It says that's among the worst. They analyzed 5 million passwords that were leaked on the Internet. And just like the 7 previous years, the company reviewed the data, people continue to set easy-to-guess passwords that rely on a string of letters or numbers that are close to each other on the computer keyboard. Now, but there's a first this year in the one of the worst passwords for being violated, and this had never happened before. First time this year, the word Donald.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder why. It must be Donald Duck, right? Yeah. That's funny.
Of course, some of the other words that made it: football, I love you with no spaces. That changed. In the top 10, it really is incredible. And hackers have great success also using celebrity names, terms for pop culture, sports, simple keyboard patterns, and they break into your account. So think about those things. And when you go to reset your password, because it is, who amongst us hasn't had something hacked over the years too, Well, I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
You're listening to the Florida Roundtable. Back in a moment.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-405-2561. 800-405-2561. That's 800-405-2561. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Hi, Darcy the cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Most good gardeners know how to get great results. Sun, water, and fertilizer, along with the right soil. Cow manure is the best way to condition the soil. Black Cow is all natural, and it's the best fertilizer, with 10 times more manure and 10 times more nutrients than the other guys. Pick up the bright yellow bag today.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
In a world of tiny tomatoes and backyard pests, one man and his better half dig deep to save backyard gardens.
Joni, stand by to upload expert videos.
Already loaded, Tom.
Wow, you're good.
You're not so bad yourself.
Tom and Joni McCubbin star in hisandhersgardening.com. Critics rave.
Tom and Joni, they really grow on you.
2 green thumbs up.
Don't miss hisandhersgardening.com. In 2018, more than 1,100 people were seriously injured in hit-and-run crashes, and almost 200 were left to die. If you're in a crash, Florida law requires you to remain at the scene and to call for help. Leaving the scene is a felony, and the penalties are serious. You will lose your license for at least 3 years, and you could end up in prison. After a crash, stay at the scene, call for assistance, and wait for first responders to arrive. A message from the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles.
We are back. You're listening to the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's Talk and Entertainment Networks. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
And Michael, as promised, we are joined by a gentleman that was here a number of months ago. His name is John Zmirak. I'm sorry. Did I get that right, John?
Yeah, well, you were close. There's no N in it. So Z-M-I-R-A-K, yeah.
Okay. Well, John is the senior editor of The Stream. And, John, take a moment here, and for those who perhaps didn't hear our last visit, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about The Stream.
Sure. The Stream is a conservative Christian website devoted to news, opinion, spreading the gospel, and generally keeping people informed.
All right. And your background, I had mentioned in our tease that a number of years ago you were press secretary to Louisiana's Governor Mike Foster.
Yeah, that was when I was in graduate school, actually, kind of working my way through graduate school, and I happened to meet the campaign director. And the funny thing was, the way I got the job was I was working as a journalist covering the campaign for a local paper, and I found out that the candidate, he was a conservative Democrat at the time, and he was pro-life and pro-gun. So I proposed the bumper. I jokingly said they should use the bumper sticker, "Arm the Unborn," and have a picture of a fetus holding a gun and defending himself. They hired me as press secretary the next day.
Wow, that's a great story. Well, so you're very active in The Stream now, and so we have given a few days here for the dust to settle, and I wanted to ask you to start out by giving us your assessment of President Trump's State of the Union address.
Oh, I thought, as I wrote at The Stream, I thought it was great. I thought he channeled Ronald Reagan. I think he rose above the divisiveness and the kind of the sabotage mentality that so many Democrats have taken, and he actually he reached out to the better angels of our nature, and it was quite inspiring.
Now, it seems like it's kind of against Trump's nature as well. Do you think what State of the Union Trump is sort of a better Trump?
I think so. I think he was actually really at his best. It's good that occasionally he can throw a right cross, but it was nice to see him living up to the best we hoped for in him, instead of always, getting down in the gutter. Even if there are others that are attacking in the gutter, and sometimes you have to fight there, sometimes you really do have to rise above it.
I wanted to get your reaction, too, and I watched carefully, and I've been watching the State of the Union for many, many years. And it seemed to me, as I recalled, it was Ronald Reagan who started this, what has become a tradition, of the special guests and introducing them. And he had a couple of each of his years. But I had a little bit of a feeling that we're spending more time acknowledging special guests and using them as prompts. And I just, I wondered.
It was a little overdone, I thought.
Yeah, well, you and I are in agreement, and I'm glad to hear you say that.
I mean, with the next time, maybe there should be participation trophies for each of the Democrats who attend the State of the Union.
There you go. Wow. Well, all right. One of the things that we had talked about when you were here, and it's hard to believe it's been almost a year since you did the show with us, but we talked a lot about immigration, and, of course, President Trump focused on the border security and the immigration. And in the last year's time, where have we gone? Are things changing? How do you see it?
Well, I have a new book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Immigration. So I'm pretty attuned to this. And we've not made progress. I mean, he has not gotten a wall built. We have not plugged the appalling loopholes in our asylum laws. We're not deporting people who overstay their visas. I mean, Trump has talked a very good game on immigration, but we've gotten nowhere. And he even is now talking about how we need more legal immigrants. That's not the point. We want to raise the wages of the native working class. We don't want to bring in more low-skill immigrants to an economy which doesn't have that many manufacturing jobs. We don't want people, we don't want to pack the welfare rolls, and most importantly, we don't want to elect Democrats. So, no, President Trump, it's, keeping out illegal immigrants and bringing in legal immigrants accomplishes no purpose whatsoever. You might as well just say anyone can come who wants to, and then they're legal. See, problem solved.
Yeah, what was really interesting about Trump bringing that up is he had brought out a plan, mostly by Stephen Miller and others, that would limit the amount of immigrants that would come into this country. It seems like now he's kind of backtracking from that, don't you think?
Yeah, because the big business cheap labor lobby is constantly, relentlessly exerting pressure. The Koch brothers are threatening to run candidates against them and pour money into the next election against them, or, just constant pressure because the people who benefit from cheap labor are a small number of very wealthy, influential people. The people who lose from cheap labor are a large number of low-income people who don't have any strings to pull. So that's how government policy often gets influenced to benefit the few and screw the many.
I wonder if we can learn anything from history, especially here in Florida, when we had the Mariel boat lift, from Cuba, and Jimmy Carter said everybody's welcome, and Fidel Castro, hearing that, opened the prisons. And
the mental institutions.
And sent the worst of everybody down there that they were having to support, sent them to get them into Miami. And this was a fight. The late Lawton Childs, who was our last Democratic governor in this state, took on a Democratic president and said, this is just not fair. You're saying anybody over to open arms, come on in, anybody's welcome. And then you turn around and tell me the federal government's not going to pay for it, that the state of Florida has to pay for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Remember that Jerry Brown, Democrat, who was a governor in California in the 70s before he came back and did it recently, he did not want the Vietnamese boat people in California because they were anti-communist and would have voted Republican.
Wow, so you think a lot of this is driven by pure politics? You think that's why a lot of Democrats are basically
100%.
for?
That's why the Catholic Church wants lots of immigrants. I'm a Catholic. I've written 9 books on the faith, but our bishops are completely obsessed with immigration to the exclusion of everything else because they see it as the only way to fill their pews because so many American Catholics are leaving, and also they get 40% of their budget from the federal government through nonprofit programs, and virtually all those are contracts to take care of immigrants. So my bishops are bought and paid for on this issue. It's extremely frustrating, especially since people seem perfectly willing to impugn the motives of people who want to control our borders and attribute to us the worst possible motives. But they never think, well, maybe the Democrats are just cynically trying to pad the voter rolls and flip one state from red to blue after another. No, we're supposed to believe their humanitarian sob stories, but then they get to accuse us of the worst motives possible.
Now, I want you to, one of more recent things, assumptions about people on the far left. What are we to think of these positions that they're taking?
Well, which, you mean like the Green New Deal?
Sure.
That insane Maoist plan to take the entire economy over, stop cows from farting, eliminate air travel, and provide a living wage for people who are unwilling to work. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. These are delusional utopian plans that are kind of substitute religions for people who have lost or are losing their supernatural faith. The faith in a messianic, transformative leftist politics serves as a pretty good substitute.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So you think when it comes to a lot of the climate change policy being proposed and the belief in man-made climate change, do you think it's almost a religious attitude to believe in something?
Completely. They're trying to redeem the world themselves. They think man is sinning and corrupting the world and destroying creation. So they're going to fix it. And instead of it being through God's actions or Jesus' actions, we're going to do it through political action. Yep, it's 100% a substitute religion.
I wonder, this business of the blackface and the Ku Klux Klan outfits and all that. And in Virginia, we found out all of a sudden that the top 3 elected officials, all Democrats, are apparently are involved in these kind of things. And the lieutenant governor, of course, denying that the 2 affairs that he's accused of. But just about the entire Democrat structure called for all 3 of them to resign. And then suddenly we found out, well, if that happened, the Speaker of the Virginia House, who happens to be a Republican, would become the governor. And
all of a sudden, nobody's resigning now. It's like a Mexican standoff,
Too much of a hurry to go for blood and get them out of there, or how do you see that?
Well, no, I mean, this all started because the Virginia governor backed infanticide. And what actually happened was when the Virginia governor said, if a child is born whose parents don't want it, the doctors can kill it, essentially. One of his old medical school colleagues, I heard this from an inside source, one of his old med school colleagues who was pro-life was so outraged by Northam endorsing infanticide that he'd always had this yearbook and it always bothered him, this Northam's Klansman in blackface page, that they sent it to a conservative website to leak it to the news. So this all started with baby killing. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, do you think he should step down for, the blackface or the baby killing?
Step down, shoot himself. I mean, in the 19th century, most people committed suicide for less disgrace. So he should step down, obviously, for the infanticide thing more than anything else. But instead, he's going to stay in office and try to redeem himself and do like a 3.5-year apology tour. And he's probably going to try to tear down every Civil War monument in the state, destroying Virginia history to atone for his own squalid personal behavior. It's disgusting. I wish the earth would open up and Ralph Northam would be swallowed up by it.
Well, Virginia certainly has got a situation there that is yet to be resolved, and we shall have to see. But, John, I real quickly here, where can folks go to find your articles and more?
Thank you. Stream.org. Check out my book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Immigration, or check me out on Amazon. The last name is Zmirak. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us, my friend. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
The Florida Roundtable continues in a moment.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-707-9709. 800-707-9709. That's 800-707-9709.
In 2018, more than 1,100 people were seriously injured in hit-and-run crashes, and almost 200 were left to die. If you're in a crash, Florida law requires you to remain at the scene and to call for help. Leaving the scene is a felony, and the penalties are serious. You will lose your license for at least 3 years, and you could end up in prison. After a crash, stay at the scene, call for assistance, and wait for first responders to arrive. A message from the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles.
Hi, Darcy the Cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Most good gardeners know how to get great results. Sun, water, and fertilizer, along with the right soil. Cow manure is the best way to condition the soil. Black Cow is all natural, and it's the best fertilizer, with 10 times more manure and 10 times more nutrients than the other guys. Pick up the bright yellow bag today.
Black Cow, the mature manure, Black Cow.
In 2018, more than 1,100 people were seriously injured in hit-and-run crashes, and almost 200 were left to die. If you're in a crash, Florida law requires you to remain at the scene and to call for help. Leaving the scene is a felony, and the penalties are serious. You will lose your license for at least 3 years, and you could end up in prison. After a crash, stay at the scene, call for assistance, and wait for first responders to arrive. A message from the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles.
Jesus regularly made bold, radical statements that shocked and even angered people. But the one statement that created the most controversy was saying that he is the way to God in heaven. Jesus did not say he is a way, but the one and only way. Even today, this statement is offensive. Why? Well, for many who believe in God, the idea that there's only one way to God is ludicrous. They believe there are many paths to God. But Jesus is clear. There's only one way to God, and that's through him. So why believe him? In rising from the dead, his resurrection is God's exclamation point that what his Son says is the truth. Jesus' statement is very exclusive, yet wonderfully inclusive, and that this way is open to everyone. Which way do you choose? This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
Visit rightfromtheheart.org and click About Us to learn more about this non-denominational ministry.
It's happening to you every night. One snores, and the other can't sleep. It seems like there's no end to it. But now there's a quick and easy-to-use solution, a natural solution. Snore Stop. Try it risk-free today. Snore Stop was created and tested by a team of physicians and has been helping couples sleep for over 20 years. It is the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the U.S. Snore Stop sprays or tablets are now available nationwide. All you have to do is call. It's time to try Snore Stop and make every night a better night for both of you. Don't wait. Try Snore Stop, the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the U.S. spray or tablets. Call right now for free shipping and your 100% risk-free trial offer. 800-960-4918. 800-960-4918. 800-960-4918. That's 800-960-4918.
From Pensacola to Key West and all points in between, you're listening to the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's Talk and Entertainment Networks. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
And Michael, I thought we might spend the next few minutes looking at immigration and where it is right now and the president's continuous call for this wall. It's an interesting thing. And I got to thinking about it. And you know, as I teach the 1960s and whatnot, Lyndon Johnson was the president for most of the 1960s, late 1963 until January of 1969. And one of Lyndon Johnson's big things that was going to create the Great Society is still being argued today, and that is no borders at all. When Lyndon Johnson came into office, we had quotas. Every country was allowed to have so many legal immigrants per year come to the United States. And Lyndon Johnson said that was wrong. Anybody from anywhere who wants to come here ought to be able to do it. So this is not something that has just cropped up with this, what's her name, Ocasio-Cortez.
And others in the Democrat Party.
Yeah. Lyndon Johnson was asking for this over 50 years ago and said there should be no quotas. Anybody's welcome and anybody can come in. Well, he didn't get it, and here we are over 50 years later still arguing about it.
Yeah, although they did change some of the different ways we let people in.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And, most of them are coming in now from countries like Mexico and South America. And, the Democrats talk a good game that they want border security. But then when Trump says, okay, let's build a wall, let's do some of these other things, then they all of a sudden say that's immoral, can't do that. So it makes you wonder, what is it that you really want?
Yeah. And we have, you've gotten into the audio files here.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say Trump has been very passionate about this issue, as you know. In fact, here's a little bit of what he said on the issue of immigration at his State of the Union address not too long ago.
This is a moral issue. The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. Tonight I am asking you to defend our very dangerous southern border out of love and devotion to our fellow citizens and to our country. Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards. Working class Americans are left to pay the price for mass illegal immigration. Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel.
So President Trump not mincing words there.
No, he was not. And he, again, this has been going on for years. One of the main people that we used to criticize, who is no longer with us, and no disrespect, but Ted Kennedy was considered one of the most liberal members ever in the United States Senate. And he was one of those people that the president was the politicians he was talking about, who would get in their limousine every morning and drive down to the Capitol and, have to have the aides wiping their nose off, and then in the evening retreating back to the mansion behind the gates.
Yeah, it's amazing how many of those politicians, like he said, live behind walls or gates, including Hillary Clinton has a pretty big wall around her place in Chappaqua.
Yeah, and they're not the ones that are going to have to live with it. It is, as he called him, Joe Sixpack, the guy working in the factory, the guy who has the minimum wage job. Those are the people that have to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I find to be almost unbelievable. Don't do as I do, but do as I say, not as I do.
Well, yeah, and they come out time and time again and say walls don't work, barriers don't work. That's the Democrats coming out. When I keep hearing people on the ground, Border Patrol agents and others on the ground saying, look, it won't solve everything, but a barrier is a great start and helps secure the border, and then we can add other technology to that wall, and that's what really helps.
I'm not sure exactly why, but Israel put up a wall a long time ago. And so far as I know, Benjamin Netanyahu and most of the Israeli leaders will tell you it has been effective for them.
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu actually tweeted out saying that the president is right, directly talking about a wall here. He said, the president is right. We built a wall in Israel, and it has been effective.
Yeah. So other places in the world, it has happened. The Mexicans themselves have actually, in the Tijuana area, there were about 1,600 of them, and the Mexicans have made an encampment and were, at least on the surface, it looked like they were trying to contain them there.
Yeah. There was citizens of Tijuana that were very upset that these huge caravans, were staying in their city. And, I don't think you can call them racist. Everyone likes to call Trump racist because he supports a wall. Well, Mexicans themselves are not happy with a lot of this.
Yeah. It's a question that is not going to go away anytime soon, that's for sure. And, of course, people, and I've said this here before, people don't like to hear it, but historically, our relations with Mexico have never been that good.
Oh, yeah, you could get into a whole history rant about that, I'm sure.
I could. That's how we ended up getting into World War I.
Yep, Zimmerman telegram.
Yes, Germany was going to try to persuade Mexico to come into the war on Germany's side.
Yeah.
It's a problematic relationship going all the way back to the Mexican War. One of the least defensible wars that we've ever fought, and yet one of the most successful from the vantage point of outcome. And so it really is. It's a tough situation, and I, for one, am not sure where it's going to go. Do you care to make a prediction?
I mean, well, Trump is not backing down. Let's say that. In fact, he was actually in El Paso recently, held a major rally there, and his supporters were chanting, "Build the wall." And he actually added an interesting point, maybe a new campaign slogan for him. This is what he said.
Now, you really mean finish that wall, because we've built a lot of it. Finish that wall.
So now it's finish the wall. He actually had banners up and everything that said that. Finish the wall, not just build it.
And I wouldn't put money on the fact that this is 2019 already, huh? And before you know it, we're going to be talking about primaries again. And that very well, as you say, finish the wall could be one of the primary issues of the campaign of 2020.
Oh, I have no doubt that it will be. It definitely will be.
Absolutely incredible. Along those lines, there was a movement, or there is a movement, that started. The Florida legislature is in committee sessions. The regular session doesn't start until we get into March, but they've had committee sessions, and a bill to forbid individual Florida cities from being what are called sanctuary cities came out of the Florida House, and it's being worked on in the Florida Senate. And that is what the Florida legislature is saying is that a city council and a mayor cannot decide to declare that their city is a sanctuary city. We're going to make this a state issue. You wanted to be a sanctuary city, you'd have to get permission from the Florida legislature, or they just say you can't do it on the local level. And so what is a sanctuary city? That is a city where the administration has said that the police do not have to cooperate or provide information to federal agencies like ICE on illegal immigrants.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that a lot of illegal immigrants will go to those cities, including drug dealers and drug cartel members that are illegal. They go to those cities because they know they feel safer in those cities. They know that the chances of being deported are a lot smaller because they don't enforce it.
Yeah. Now, this bill was introduced by Joe Gruters in the Florida House. It is in committee work in the Florida Senate.
Yeah, apparently it's been stalled.
Kind of run into a little bit of a roadblock, probably over language or something like that. But at least they are making the effort to see what is going to be done with that. And I don't have the answer, but I give them credit for saying the majority of the people in Florida don't like this sanctuary business.
Yeah, and it's usually the bigger cities like Orlando that are the sanctuary cities.
Yeah, who are led by, I think, probably 100% moderate to very liberal Democrat mayors.
Oh, of course.
So, well, I tell you what, we're going to take another pause along our network line here. We, at this point, need to remind you that this is the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's talk and entertainment networks. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
We'll continue our conversation following these messages.
It's happening to you every night. One snores, and the other can't sleep. It seems like there's no end to it. But now there's a quick and easy-to-use solution, a natural solution. Snore Stop. Try it risk-free today. Snore Stop was created and tested by a team of physicians and has been helping couples sleep for over 20 years. It is the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the U.S. Snore Stop sprays or tablets are now available nationwide. All you have to do is call. It's time to try Snore Stop and make every night a better night for both of you. Don't wait. Try Snore Stop, the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the U.S. spray or tablets. Call right now for free shipping and your 100% risk-free trial offer. 800-960-4918. 800-960-4918. 800-960-4918. That's 800-960-4918.
The Progressive Miami International Boat Show and Miami Yacht Show present the largest display of boats in the world. Classy ones, flashy ones, family ones, fishing ones, and ones unlike any other one. 2 epic shows, 2,000 boats. See them all February 14th through 18th at the Progressive Miami International Boat Show's Miami Marine Stadium location and the Miami Yacht Show in its new downtown location at One Herald Plaza. Visit MiamiBoatShow.com and MiamiYachtShow.com for tickets and info.
In 2018, more than 1,100 people were seriously injured in hit-and-run crashes, and almost 200 were left to die. If you're in a crash, Florida law requires you to remain at the scene and to call for help. Leaving the scene is a felony, and the penalties are serious. You will lose your license for at least 3 years, and you could end up in prison. After a crash, stay at the scene, call for assistance, and wait for first responders to arrive. A message from the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles.
We are back. You're listening to the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's Talk and Entertainment Networks. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
And much territory to cover here yet. A lot of things going on around Florida and the nation. And we have just passed the first anniversary of the school shooting in Broward County, the killings at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And within the last few days or so, a proposal to ban assault weapons has come out of Broward County. And, Michael, I know that you've been following this fairly closely.
Yes, they put forward the first petitions to Broward County, and the goal is to eventually have an amendment, a ballot measure, to have an amendment on the Florida Constitution that would ban assault weapons. And one of the activists who actually had a nephew that died in the attack, her name is Gail Schwartz. She spoke shortly after putting forward those first petitions. This is what she said.
1 year ago, our beautiful children and loved ones were gunned down in Parkland. We are here today because it's time to turn our grief into action. It's time for us to do something, Florida. It's time to ban the type of military-grade assault weapons in the state of Florida that are used by our military overseas, on our enemies, on the battlefield.
Strong words there from a relative of one of the victims.
When you look at some of the details of what this would actually ban, though, it goes far beyond what you would think. One NRA lobbyist said this petition seeks to ban practically every rifle and shotgun in America today, with the exception of a single-shot bolt-action rifles or single-shot shotguns, by calling them assault weapons.
Well, we'll see how far that one gets. Now, this is different. They're not; these people are not trying to influence the Florida legislature or go through the legislature. They have actually started a petition drive to put this up as a constitutional amendment to the Florida Constitution.
Yeah, so they have to get a lot more petitions, which I think they end up will. They probably will. It's a big issue right now. The next step would be the Florida Supreme Court would have to support it and uphold it. That's in question. We don't know, especially since DeSantis has appointed 3 new Supreme Court members who are conservative.
Yeah, for the first time in decades, the Florida Supreme Court now has a majority of conservative members, despite the fact that for 20 plus years we have had nothing but conservative Republican governors.
I know, right?
It's the age issue on the Supreme Court that allows these other people to stay there. They don't have to get off until the year they turn 70.
So if the Supreme Court upholds this, if they get enough petitions and then the Supreme Court upholds it, then 60%, it would have to be over 60% of the voters would have to approve it.
Yeah.
Which is possible when you look at what happened last year when all of them but one were approved by supermajorities.
And this goes back to the old question of, does it really belong in the Constitution, or should it just be a state law? And of course, one would presume that these folks, if they're launching this drive, are going to get reputable lawyers, expert in the Florida Constitution, to draft the formal language of the thing so that it would pass muster before the Florida Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'm sure they're already working on that. It would be an incredibly divisive issue because Florida has historically been a pro-Second Amendment state, allowing people to carry a range of guns. So we'll see if this is a turning point for the future. I'm not so sure. If it doesn't pass next time, no doubt these people are going to keep trying to put it on the ballot until it eventually passes. That happened with medical marijuana. Failed the first time, changed the language a little bit, put it on the ballot again, then it succeeded.
So as you say, this is it's going to be an ongoing issue, and of course, we all sympathize with what happened in Parkland.
Yeah.
But is that the answer to it? I don't know. A person that wants to obtain a weapon, a law is not going to stop them.
Yeah.
It's too. You can go out of state and do it or whatever. A law on the books, if you've got a criminal or a criminal mind that has become hell-bent for election, that they're going to do these things, they will find a way around the ordinances.
Well, not only that, but you don't necessarily need an assault weapon to do a mass shooting.
Yeah.
There was one in Texas last year. The kid killed 10 people. He had a shotgun.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we are, again, at the point where we need to pause and take a little break along our network line here. Let me remind you that this is the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's Talk and Entertainment Networks. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
Mike and I have a closing thought after this.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their book to the market. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Don't wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author and seeing your name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-485-6003. 800-485-6003. That's 800-485-6003.
Jesus regularly made bold, radical statements that shocked and even angered people. But the one statement that created the most controversy was saying that He is the way to God in heaven. Jesus did not say He is a way, but the one and only way. Even today, this statement is offensive. Why? Well, for many who believe in God, the idea that there's only one way to God is ludicrous. They believe there are many paths to God. But Jesus is clear. There's only one way to God, and that's through Him. So why believing? In rising from the dead, His resurrection is God's exclamation point that what His Son says is the truth. Jesus' statement is very exclusive, yet wonderfully inclusive, and that this way is open to everyone. Which way do you choose? This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
Visit rightfromtheheart.org and click About Us to learn more about this non-denominational ministry.
In a world of tiny tomatoes and backyard pests, one man and his better half dig deep to save backyard gardens.
Joni, stand by to upload expert videos.
Already loaded, Tom.
Wow, you're good.
You're not so bad yourself.
Tom and Joni McCubbin star in hisandhersgardening.com. Critics rave.
Tom and Joni, they really grow on you. 2 green thumbs up.
Don't miss hisandhersgardening.com.
Hi, Darcy the Cow here for Black Cow, the mature manure. Most good gardeners know how to get great results. Sun, water, and fertilizer, along with the right soil. Cow manure is the best way to condition the soil. Black Cow is all natural, and it's the best fertilizer, with 10 times more manure and 10 times more nutrients than the other guys. Pick up the bright yellow bag today.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
We are back. You're listening to the Florida Roundtable, a service of Florida's Talk and Entertainment Networks. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
And, Michael, we've covered a lot of territory here today. And as we ran out of time on that last segment, I was just thinking, many of you are aware that I do teach at the University of Central Florida. And we recently had a gun incident on campus. Nobody injured, but a student by the name of Max Bennett Chambers arrested by the University of Central Florida Police for having the equivalent of a machine gun in the trunk of his car. Now, this is a student who lived, this is not somebody from outside, a full-time student who lived in university dormitories on campus. And, Michael, you have a...
Yeah, apparently what they found is a black AR-15 that had been modified into a fully automatic rifle that is, of course, against state law and university policy. Now, the kid said he had no intentions of actually hurting anyone, and he has a history of kind of saying things that he believes are pro-Second Amendment, that citizens should be allowed to carry fully automatic weapons. But it's against the law, and he was arrested for it.
Yeah. Well, this is, and I think rightfully so. Now, I have been 15 years or so teaching at the University of Central Florida, and I've had occasion to see the university police arrest students
really?
And pull them out of a classroom. But I have never, thank you very much, somebody's watching over me, I have never had an experience where anybody brought a weapon into the classroom, or, they get disorderly, but one never knows. There's also a movement now and a bill in the Florida legislature in committee, again, talking about arming teachers all the way from kindergarten up through the
on
university
a voluntary
system.
basis.
Yeah, if they want, that the state would provide training for them. I don't know a whole lot of teachers that would be in favor of that. I think they would rather see extra money spent on professional security officers being brought into the building.
Right.
So we'll have to see how that one plays out as well. But in this effort to create a safe environment, there are all kinds of ideas out there being broached. And who knows whether this student, he said he had no intent, but yet he had a fully automatic machine gun equivalent in his car.
One thing I did want to point out, though, is I keep hearing people like the Parkland activists, I keep hearing them say we should ban these weapons of war. And I think that's a little misleading because an AR-15, a civilian AR-15 that you can buy at the store, is not a weapon of war. Weapons of war are M16s. Yeah. A lot of times they're fully automatic. You can't get a fully automatic gun if you're a civilian. So I think it's a little misleading. The thing is, AR-15s look scary, but they're your basic semi-automatic rifle.
Yeah.
Just have some more rounds to it.
Yeah. It's, boy, I'll tell you what, it's a thorny question, that is for sure. And in the meanwhile, we hope that we don't have any more of these scenarios to go down. They're just too troubling, and the people that perform them have issues.
Yeah.
Mental or whatever, attitudinal kind of things. Well, we too often forget to say thank you for your time. We know that you have a lot of choices out there up and down the dial and all kinds of things that you can look at. So Michael and I do appreciate your time. Drop us a note. Let us know what you think about these things. I'm Reagan Smith.
And I'm Michael Yaffee.
And we'll see you next week with another edition of the Florida Roundtable.
You've been listening to the Florida Roundtable, a news and public affairs presentation of the Florida News Network. The views and opinions expressed during this show are solely those of the participants and not necessarily those of this station's management, ownership, or sponsors. Please email your comments to reagansmith@fnnonline.net.